because we don't want an employee to be treated differently just because they happen to be funded from a grant that doesn't allow it or they don't have enough dollars to cover it. The next item is our IDC shortfall reserve. In the original budget submittal, it was approximately $780,000. I did some sharpening of the pen, looked at where we have been the last 2 or 3 years, and I think we can reduce that by $250 and still cover for those grants that don't pay the full IDC cost. Community transportation, that was a one-time request for funds to purchase some vans for the communities to be able to use, and because we are trying to reduce our budget, that program had not been implemented. It was budgeted in '09 and was in the 2010 as a carryover, so we're requesting that be reduced. The leadership group, which is a new group, had several initiatives within Todd's budget for 2010, and after visiting with him, we can reduce contracts and he can still perform a lot of the things that he wants to get accomplished in 2010. Communications, the public relations projects, those are there's a lot of public relations projects, but probably the one we're most familiar with is the television ads, and we're proposing to reduce that budget by $100,000. Gen Fund contract health. The contract health budget that was submitted is $5 million. We started out 2009 at $3 million. We put $5 million in the 2010. I am proposing that we reduce that by $250,000 in an effort to balance this budget. When we get through year end, there might possibly be additional carryover that if that's an initiative we want to fund, we could take another look at that. Contributions and donations, that would be a new pot of money that would be utilized similar to the Political Action Committee, but this would be for council and the administration to utilize for donations within our communities. You want to discuss that anymore? I'm sorry. Melanie probably has a better handle on that. If you'll permit me, I'd like her to talk about the next 3 or 4 items.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll start with the donations and contributions line. There is an existing budget that was proposed when it came over with the itemized donations and contributions, most of them that we've done in previous years. And this would be an increase to that budget of $200,000. Those donations and contributions wouldn't be itemized at the point of your appropriation if you so approve. But what we're proposing the process would be is that an unallocated amount sit in that budget, and that suggest to you that perhaps the E&F committee could form a subcommittee to approve any specific donations or contributions, and it worked very similar to the PAC subcommittee, that the chief and that subcommittee would come to consensus on any contributions or donations. And that would accomplish a couple of things, at least from our perspective, and that would be one, timeliness, because I know the chief and you all get requests for donations, and many of them to the chief are very last minute. We'd like a contribution to this event or that event, and that event is occurring in 2 weeks. And so in order for that to happen, he must propose to you that donation, and that goes through your process as well as get approved in a budget mod, and it takes a considerable amount of time to do that. So this would avoid that kind of process. But it also provide that that consensus can happen right quickly, and that it be done by consensus. So as in the PAC subcommittee, Chief can propose to you all those donations. Those can arise from the subcommittee, but there must be consensus from both for that to go forward. So that's the $200,000 addition to that budget. The next item is the Community Youth Assistance, which is also an existing program. It's currently budgeted at $300,000. We are proposing to amend that policy to raise the amount that children would be eligible for to $250 per youth. And so we would propose an increase of $50,000 to that program to accommodate some of that. The next item is a community adult program. We have had no such program for ad hoc requests from individual adults for various things, like travel to do some kind of special event, to just getting a bill paid, and they may not be eligible for any kind of program because they've exhausted their ability to work within programs, or they're not income eligible. So we are piloting, or we're proposing to pilot, an adult program that would be patterned after the community youth program that would do just that. So they would be projects of their own design, very broad-based in what they could fund with the $250, but that there's a public service element to it, just like the community youth program. And those that want to perform the public service are eligible for the $250 with not a lot of paperwork that would have to be done. So that's the community adult proposal. We're proposing to include $100,000 into that budget to fund that. The next item is Cherokee sports teams. It seems that both the chief and the council get a lot of demand for funding various teams, whether they be school-based, community-based, youth, or adult. So we're proposing that this be a fairly broad category encompassing any of those. They would be limited to $500 per team. They must be at least half Cherokee citizens that participate on that team, and this is just an amount based on